Hey Sci-Fi Valley Con family, this is Samurai Jill here with Phil LaMarr, aka Samurai Jack, Green Lantern, Hermes in Futurama, Marvin in Pulp Fiction. You have so many iconic roles. You're truly a dynamic voice actor and actor on camera. Which is your personal preference though? What's more personally fulfilling for you?
Well, it's not about a medium, it's about quality. When you get to work with great creators like Matt Groening, Genndy Tartakovsky, Quentin Tarantino, Bruce Timm, Seth MacFarlane, that is a joy. And the fact that you get paid to be with people you should be paying to be with is such a blessing. And that's why those characters touch people's lives, because those guys have created such amazing shows, and they touch us all. They touch those of us who help put them together, and they touch those of us who watch them.
Well, it helps when you have incredible actors that also truly love what they do, because I already seen you interacting with fans. What's your favorite part about coming to these conventions?
Well, it's great to get, because when you do cartoons, it's not like performing on stage. You do your performance, a year later, people get to hear it, and you're not there. So at the cons, people coming up talking about how they like a show is almost like getting applause one person at a time. But me, I'm, pretty much of a fanboy nerd, and I love to Comic-Cons because I fanboy out at the comic book people.
Well, you are in the perfect place for that. So you may be able to tell Samurai Jack is my favorite show of all time.
That's why you are the samurai they called you.
That's me. Pulp Fiction is actually also my second favorite movie of all time.
Oh,
so you're
okay.
in several of my favorites. What are some of your all-time favorite shows or movies?
Well, the ones that I grew up watching, Happy Days.
Oh wow, that's a classic.
So, and Star Wars. But that's also one of the wonderful things about, going forward into the show business world, is I got to touch base with some of the people behind those. I got to do an episode of Static Shock alongside Mark Hamill.
That's pretty crazy.
He played the Joker, and I played Static.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Speaking of Star Wars and Mark Hamill, you've done several voices throughout Star Wars. Clone Wars, Book of Boba Fett.
Mm-hmm.
If you could play any live-action Star Wars character, what kind of character would you want to be?
I would take any... like I said, I'm a fanboy. So when I get a chance to be in a world of, something that I'm a fan of, I will take anything. I grew up reading comic books, and so when I got a chance to be in Spider-Man 2, I took a role with no lines.
Would you be a Jedi or Sith at least?
Well,
light side or dark side?
Well, actually, I was supposed to be a stormtrooper, but our schedule had a problem, and I could only make it for one day. And they said, no. This was in The Mandalorian. It's like, no. Phil has to be available for 2 days. I'm like, wait, can't I just be there for one day and you have somebody else wear the helmet on the second day? So when I watch The Mandalorian, I'm watching it thinking, what stormtrooper is in two different scenes? And I'm pretty sure the part I lost was Jason Sudeikis' stormtrooper who punched Baby Yoda.
No. Oh. Well,
so that's a loss.
The Star Wars universe, it's ever expanding. There will be plenty of other opportunities, I'm sure, but that would have been pretty cool.
And thankfully now, somehow in my voiceover career, I've gotten into the on-camera world. One time on Supergirl, they had a computer-generated Martian alien, and they said, Phil, can you do the voice of the alien? And I said, sure. So I was just recording this alien voice. But then a couple of episodes in, they said, actually now we're going to trap him in a human body. Will you fly up to Vancouver and play him? I'm like, yes!
Sign me up.
And then doing the Star Wars cartoons somehow led to the producers having me voice some of the on-camera aliens in Book of Boba Fett.
That's right. One day, hopefully, we'll see your face in Star Wars. That would be...
Well, actually, if I'd played those characters, you wouldn't have seen my face.
Yeah, that's true. Stormtrooper, right?
But thankfully, I didn't have to be in the makeup.
Now, let's delve into Samurai Jack a little bit.
Yes.
So, when the final season came out, fans like me were thrilled that we would finally get an end to that saga. But there was such a massive change, a huge tonal shift. It was darker, bloodier.
Yep.
Jack he was depressed, feeling hopeless, and those emotions really come through in your voice. How did you have to adjust for that, especially after 13 years?
Yes. Well, it was a challenge. One, Genndy Tartakovsky did this incredible way of bringing the series up to what it would have evolved to had it kept going for 13 years. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if he was thinking about the fact that a lot of the viewers were children before, now they're adults, so let's give more emotion. But also, if you're a soldier fighting war for 50 years, that can affect you, because you have not won. But also the fact that we came to the conclusion. And I don't know, I feel like when you have something in the theme song of a show, you got to do it. You know, friends, they say, I'll be there for you. They're always there for each other. And in our song, we said, got to get back. So he had to get back.
He had one ultimate goal, and I'm so glad we got to see that fulfilled.
Yes.
Did the ending...
And for me, the challenge was, because he was in this darker, I was like, wait, he's got a beard. He's not a hipster now. No. He is still a strong, noble warrior, but he has some darkness inside him. He is seeing the people he has lost for so many years. So I wanted to keep him positive, light, but also bring in the darkness and pain. And that was a good acting challenge.
And you conquered that challenge.
Oh,
I mean,
thank you.
The fact that he's also grappling with the fact that he doesn't age. You know, and you were talking to yourself at certain points. That was one of my favorite parts, is young Jack yelling at old Jack, and the back and forth.
But also the fact that old Jack finally got to have love.
I know.
But he had to sacrifice his love to solve his mission.
So how did you feel about that ending? It was very bittersweet. Did that line up with what you had envisioned early on?
Well, I didn't have it envisioned, but Genndy had mentioned, I said, is this the same ending that you were going to have when you were thinking about making it as a movie? It's like, well, not the same, but I don't know. It might make you cry. And it did.
It did.
Recording it, I teared up.
Well, there is an alternate ending offered by the video game,
yes.
Samurai Jack Battle Through Time.
Yes.
And I missed it on my first playthrough, because you have to collect all the collectibles. But once you do that, there's a happily ever after because of the time pocket, and he gets to stay with Ashi.
Yes.
So, that did kind of make it healed that hole in my heart a little bit.
Yeah.
Which feels like the true ending for you? Happily ever after, or?
Well, I mean, the original ending that Genndy created made sense to me because so much of the show was about sacrifice.
Yes.
I mean, how many times did this noble warrior from the past have an opportunity to get into a time, travel thing, but someone else needed something, so he sacrificed his mission to help them. And now here, this girl in his heart sacrificed herself to help him. And to me, that was in theme for the show. But yes, it definitely was sad, and it definitely felt good to see this good person get a good ending, a happy ending.
He deserved it.
Yes. Yes, you always want somebody like that to get a happy ending. Like you didn't want Luke Skywalker to get cut in half by Darth Vader.
But it has to happen. So I'm sure you've been asked this a million times, but I have to know, what is your favorite quote, your favorite Samurai Jack quote?
Well, I mean, it's tough because the show is not about words.
He is a man of few words. There's so many episodes he doesn't speak at all, right?
Well, and also you're getting so much heart and feeling in the story through action, through... but I don't know, I feel like Jack's primary, like the one line that would be his catchphrase, was the one he said over and over. Oh, cool! You know, but, you know, with sadness or with anger.
Frustration, always frustration.
Or, I'm coming with you with my magic sword.
They have such an incredible dynamic, and I'm so glad we could have you here this weekend with Greg Baldwin.
Yes.
So last question, well, for this costume at least, what's one piece of advice you would give to aspiring actors or voice actors?
Well, it was the advice I learned from working next to Mako Iwamatsu, because he was this classic, iconic actor who I'd heard his voice for decades. And he, voiced the character, it sounded just like he was the narrator in the Arnold Schwarzenegger Conan movie. It sounded like this. And then one time they had him play a second character in an episode, and I remember thinking, what? His voice is so unique. This second character, people are going to think that's Aku talking. But no. He showed me that it wasn't about making your voice sound like this. He just acted this other character in a completely different way than he performed Aku. And that's when I learned that voice acting is a misnomer. The word acting should be more important than the voice.
Absolutely.
So that's the best advice.
I mean, even when you were saying Aku, the way your eyes lit up, you got into character a little bit. So it's a performance.
Yes.
It's not just voice. Yes.
Yeah. It's not just about a sound.
Yes.
I am a villain. No. It's about
the motions, the movements. It's everything. Yes.
It's bringing the character to life.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Phil. Everyone, come meet Phil LaMarr at Sci-Fi Valley Con this weekend.